to Sonder. This is my little corner of YouTube where I come on and I document my knitting, sewing, general crafting adventure and journey, and keep track of my life and my reading. I am a knitter, sewist, and new doctor living in Denver, Colorado. And I have been away from YouTube for a little while, apart from Vlogmas. So I did participate in Vlogmas, and I know that most people don't actually watch all of the Vlogmases because they're crazy, and I was not one of the very impressive people who is able to vlog every single day. I did that for a little while I was in quarantine with COVID. And then after that, I really vlogged about once a week. And what I learned from doing Vlogmas this year is that challenging myself to film at least a little bit every day actually made me look out for and notice the beautiful, whimsical, and just fun things that were going on in my life. And it was something that I just really enjoyed, and I think actually brought me quite a bit of positive energy at the end of a very difficult year. And right now is January 1st, 2020. And I really want to make an effort to continue to do that throughout the rest of 2021. It's January 1st, 2021. I think I just said that wrong because the change of the year, it's like, where am I? What's happening? But I just found it to be such a beautiful and almost meditative process to film myself every day, or film beautiful things that I was seeing in nature or fun things that I was doing. And so I want to continue to do that throughout the rest of the year. I know that is not necessarily something that most people will want to watch. And because I do have a couple of people who tune in every week, which is so crazy to me that anybody wants to watch me ramble. I'll just put all of those videos at the end of each episode so that it's something that I can kind of look back on in the future when I want to watch these videos back, years from now, to kind of see what I was doing in 2021. So yeah, how has everyone been doing? 2020 was a challenging year. I was talking about it last night with some of my best friends in the world, Jared and Hannah, and Sean, of course, and we were kind of discussing that 2020 brought with it a lot of challenges, but also a lot of beauty. And the human condition is an interesting one in that it forces us to really focus on the bad and the hard things that have happened in our lives, and to kind of perseverate on those really challenging things that we've been through. And it was a helpful practice for me, and I don't think it's a helpful practice for everyone necessarily, but it was helpful for me to look back on the year and think about all of the beautiful things and the good things that happened to me, and to recognize that while this year was incredibly challenging, I started a new job. I started a new job that's very emotionally traumatic and physically demanding, and that is being an intern. So my first year of my residency here as a doctor at the University of Colorado. And it's just been really hard. About the first five months of my residency, so pretty much for the last 5 months, I have been all inpatient. And with that comes, things like just under 80-hour work weeks, and very few days off. And this is at a time where it's an international pandemic, and I was taking care of patients in the COVID wards, and it was really hard. A lot of patients die, and a lot of patients are hurt and feeling really badly and getting horrible diagnoses. And for me, that's something that's really challenging. And I think for most for most healthcare professionals, it's really challenging because I'll speak for myself. I really care about my patients, and even if I've only known them for a small amount of time, particularly when they're in the hospital, you just spend so much time with them and thinking about them that you become very close, you become very invested in their lives. And so it was challenging, and I thought that we could start off this year, this new sort of era of the Sonder journal, by just taking a moment of silence for all those that we have lost and loved this year. And I encourage you to also think about your intentions for next year. And I'm not going to ask anyone to share those intentions because I think that they're very personal things, but I find it a good exercise to just kind of pick a word or a phrase or a feeling that I want to bring into the new year. So, going into the new year for me, what just came up for me are two words, two things that I want to focus on for the year of 2021. And for me, those words are calm and reflection. All right. With that, I've had a really wonderful week. I started a new rotation, so I'm working with kiddos again. I am doing a dual residency where I do both internal medicine and pediatrics, and right now I'm working with kids who have developmental delay, behavioral disorders, things like the autism spectrum, and ADHD, and I have to say that I've been really, really enjoying it. It's been just a wonderful opportunity to meet some really wonderful, fun, and interesting patients and parents. Coming back to the peds side of things always brings me so much joy because there's so much whimsy and they're so silly and they're so playful, and it's just really fun. It's a nice reprieve from kind of the trauma that I've experienced in the last couple of months. So it's been really great this week. You will see in some of the videos that probably the highlight of the week for me, apart from just reflecting on the year and having a good time with Sean last night, was going to the Frida Kahlo and Diego Rivera exhibit that was at the Denver Art Museum. And I did film some of the photographs and paintings, works of art that I saw there. Not all of them, it was a huge exhibit, but it was really wonderful. Frida Kahlo was such an amazing artist, and getting to see how her art fit in with the history that was going on in Mexico at the time and the connection that her and Diego Rivera had with their Mexican culture and how that was kind of worked into every piece of art they made, and the impact on the world that they had on artists around them, on artists in completely different areas, and on, social justice and kind of revolution. It was a beautiful exhibit. It was absolutely fascinating, and honestly, I hate to say this because going to the art museum is one of my favorite things to do in the entire world, and I really do feel that art should be for and is for everyone. And so I hate to say this, but it was kind of amazing that only a very limited amount of people could be in the exhibit at once, and so you had to schedule a time and go at that time, and it just made it so that it was much less crowded. I have been to the Denver Art Museum, does an absolutely fantastic job organizing various exhibits throughout the year. And I have had the opportunity to go to almost all of them. I love the Denver Art Museum and think that, you know, promoting arts and culture is something that's incredibly important. And so I love to give them my money. And in the past, the exhibits, they do limit the amount of people who can go into an exhibit at a time, but now with the restrictions, it is much less than normal. And I know that they're losing, I'm sure, a large amount of revenue because of the restrictions. However, it was beautiful to have the time to really stand in front of a work and look at it and interpret it, and not have a million other people around you, you know, to feel like you really had the ability to take in what you were seeing and really spend some time with the art. It was really wonderful. So yeah, I really loved that. I did put some of the videos that I took a lot because I really loved that artwork, like I said. But with that, I've got quite a bit to talk about today. I will say I've been knitting a lot, and in my Vlogmas episodes, what I ended up doing is talking about knitting objects and relating them to books, because two of some of my favorite things to do in the whole world are to knit and to read. And so these are kind of newer projects that I haven't talked about in those Vlogmas episodes. So if you're curious about my knitting, you can go back and look at those. So let me start with a finished, well, I guess I should start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing an entirely me-made outfit today. The top, this is Andrea Mallory's wool and honey sweater, and then I have just paired it with this skirt that I made out of fabric that I got from Fancy Tiger Craft. And this skirt is, I think it's a simplicity pattern. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, and I didn't bring it up with me, but yeah, so I'll start off next with some finished objects, and I finished my Felix cardigan. I knit this so fast. I honestly don't even know how it happened. I got this wool, and this is Peace Fleece in the Amaranth colorway. And Peace Fleece, let me see if I can find a button band. I'll be right back. So here is the leftover skein. This is all that I have left over. I had gotten 5 skeins of this in my advent calendar from this year, and I cast this on about a week and a half ago and finished the whole sweater already. So yeah, let me just take a look. So this is Peace Fleece. And it's their worsted weight, and like I said, it's in their Amaranth colorway. Peace Fleece is 75% Navajo Rambouillet and domestic fine wool and 25% mohair. This is incredibly warm. I wore it last night without even blocking it, just because I wanted to wear it. I'd finished it and I was like, I'm wearing it. It's the new year, we're doing it. And it was so warm. So yeah, I really loved it. It's made in the USA. It's obviously Navajo wool, and it's wool with a purpose. I think right now they're giving 25% of their proceeds to people on the res who have been impacted by COVID-19, which is really cool. I think I'm actually going to order some more of their yarn just because I really want to support the amazing work that they're doing. So, and because I love this wool. So this is the wool, and that is a really good general color, color. So it's a dark blue red, and then I'm gonna bring it closer so you can see. There are bits of really bright red and then little bits of blue in it as well. And oh my gosh, it is so, so beautiful. It is a little bit rustic. It's a little bit rustic, but I am not sensitive to wool at all, and I think I could wear this next to skin, but I think for some people it would definitely be a little bit too scratchy to wear next to the skin, but I love this stuff. I definitely want to get, they make this in worsted weight and DK weight, and I do want to get a sweater's quantity of their DK weight as well, probably to make another cardigan. I have a lot of layers. I have a lot of pullovers, and I'm finding that I really want some more cardigans in my wardrobe. And this wool is so warm that I think it would actually be hard for me to wear as a pullover because you can't kind of open it up and give yourself some ventilation. But I am like, I really run warm, and so yeah, but this is so amazing. I really loved working with it. It smells so divine. It's like a little sheepy. There are little like neps of vegetable matter still in it, and I love that. I think for me, what I've discovered is like superwash is fine. Like this is superwash. I really like, I think it's beautiful. I think it shows off color well, but there is something just amazing about the more rustic natural wools that I absolutely love. I think I'm gonna wear this all the time. So this is the Felix pullover, and I'm realizing that I don't remember who the designer is, but I will try to remember to put that down below. And it is this really beautiful, I guess I can throw it on. It's a really beautiful cardigan that is knit top down, flat, and then you pick up for the button bands and the neckband. And what I really love about this cardigan is the way in which the raglan was done. So it was done using yarn overs instead of increases, and that makes it both really easy and also just like really beautiful and different. So yeah, I really love it. It is a little bit cropped, it's a little bit baggy. And yeah, I do not have any of the buttons on it, but I do have the buttons that I'm going to use. So these are buttons that I picked up at a, let me try to get my face out of there. These are buttons that I picked up at a very amazing antique store here in Denver. And so I have 7 of these buttons, and they're just gonna, I think they'll go perfectly with this sweater. And yeah, what else? So I have a 36-inch bust, and I believe that I knit the size 3. However, I did knit it at a tighter gauge, and that is for a couple of reasons. One is that the yarn I used was a worsted weight yarn, and I believe the pattern calls for like a worsted or Aran weight, and I just didn't want it to be quite as loose as they called for. So I knit it with about, I think it will end up being, I haven't blocked it yet, but I think it'll be about 8 inches of positive ease. And yeah, I really love it. I'm so thrilled. I knit it on my Chiagu interchangeables on the US 8, which I think it actually calls for like a 9 or a 10. So I did go down at least 1 needle size, which I do most of the time just because I'm generally a very loose knitter. The other thing that I was really proud of is I learned how to do a sewn tubular bind off. And it just gives the most professional finish. I did it on all of the bind offs. I'm thrilled. I honestly want to do this with every, like if I ever do 1x1 rib, now I just have it memorized because I did it so many times, like in such quick succession, that I'm just going to do it all the time. What else do I want to say? The only modification that I made apart from changing the gauge a little bit is that with the button bands, I have found, for whatever reason, that it is very difficult for me to know how to pick up for button bands. Like, most of the time my button bands are like totally off, and I don't really understand the ratio of like stitches to what I should pick up. Even though they write it down, it's just hard for me to like visualize that on this like rolling edge. And so what I did is I kind of stole from the Yampa's stealing me. Yampa, he's stealing this, which is very nice. The Hermione's Everyday sock, which I will actually show a sock whip that I have that is using part of the part that I'm referring to, has a garter edge to the heel flap, and that makes it really easy so that you know that between each garter edge you pick up a stitch. And I decided to do that for this cardigan as well. So I just did one stitch of garter along the inside. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, and it made it really easy for me to just go in between and pick up the stitches. And I think it looks really nice and really neat, and I'm honestly gonna do this forever. For every other thing I knit, that's a cardigan, I'm always gonna do a garter edge if I have to pick up and do a button band, because it looks so neat, it was so easy to do, and I just feel like it makes it much more mindless. So yeah, the Felix cardigan, so beautiful. I really love it. I love the fleece, and I definitely want to support that company more. So yeah, that is my only finished object. And let me pour myself some tea. So I'll just move on to some works in progress, and I suppose that the first one I will show is the sock that I'm working on. So you'll see in the videos the skein that came, but the sock set that came, but I did order the Lambstring wool St. Nicholas 2020 sock set, which was essentially a picture of St. Nick. And she sent you a skein of yarn, one full skein of yarn, and then 2 mini skeins to make a sock set. And I got that. And this, there is a video of the skein in skein form, but I wanted to start the sock. And so this is the beautiful full skein that came. It is a creamy, light brown, kind of khaki color that has speckles of red and green in various different shades, as well as some blues. It's absolutely beautiful and very subtle. I think what I really love, I love Lambstrings yarn. This is gonna be like an ode to her yarn because it's absolutely incredible, but I love that this is Christmassy without being like slap you in the face Christmas. And it did come with these 2 mini skeins, which this one is like really bright, but it's not like the red of Christmas that you would expect. It's almost like pinky red. And then this is just kind of like a medium sage green. And so all of these were together. I was trying to decide exactly how I wanted to do the sock, and I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different than just the average like heels, toes, and cuffs, changing that up. And so what I did is I cast on this sock a few days ago, and this is where I am. So I cast on 64 stitches on a US 1. I use my Chiagu 9-inch circular needles and just knit it in the round. So what I did is I did a 1x1 rib for about 15 rounds, and then I just knit in stockinette, and I think it's so amazing to see how this beautiful yarn knits up and just has a little bit of time on its own. And then I knit about 20 rows of 2x2 rib in the green colorway, and I think when you're looking at it, it looks kind of strange because it looks like it like cinches in a lot, but in reality, this will block, you know, it will be the same as the rest of the sock, and I think will actually help suck the sock onto your foot. And then I did a heel flap and gusset in this bright pinky red. And I, like I was talking about, kind of stole this from the Hermione Everyday sock. It is her heel. The only thing I do differently is I do a slip stitch heel flap rather than an Eye of Partridge, just because I think it looks a little bit prettier. So I did that, and I already turned the heel, and now I'm just working on the gusset decreases back in the original skein color. My plan is to knit this and then do the toes again just in this red. So yeah, I think that they will be a subtle Christmas sock that I will be able to wear year round, and so I really love it. I'm really enjoying it. And this is my antler and acorn bag that I got for Christmas a couple of years ago. It has squirrels on it, which are some of my favorite animals. All right. The next thing I am working on is my last Christmas gift that I did not finish, and that is a pair of Andrea Mowry's like super simple mittens for my stepdad. So this I am knitting Rauma Phenol Garn, out of Rauma Phenol Garn Hold Double, so I'm kind of marling two different colors. And just working away. I will say that this is a little bit of a challenge for me to work on because it is such a tight gauge that it just hurts my hands if I work on it for more than a little while. And so it's something that I'm just slowly working on. Hopefully I will be able to finish it before we go up to Steamboat again. But yeah, I'm just working on the thumb increases right now, and I have this adorable Simply Serving charm, which is something that I also got in my advent calendar, and it is this little gnome, and it really reminds me of one of the characters from The House in the Cerulean Sea. This is in a bag that I made myself this Christmas out of scraps from my advent calendar, and I used this really awesome sort of old-timey fabric from Joann's, as well as some like half square triangles and half square triangle scraps that I just kind of sewed together and made this really fun Christmassy drawstring bag. I think that what I'll do is I will use this bag until I'm finished with this Christmas project, and then I'm gonna put it away because I want it to remain special. So yeah, I love it. And then my last knitting work in progress is another sweater out of more Lambstring yarn. I love her yarn. So this year for my birthday, it was my 30th birthday, so it was a big one. My husband got me an advent calendar for December, which was kind of like the spooky Halloween advent calendar that was dyed by Lambstring wool. And I actually do have a couple of skeins. These are some beautiful skeins that I haven't used yet, and I will explain why shortly. But it was 30 mini skeins and then one full skein in that advent calendar. And I decided to make this into the Dathan pullover. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Again, I'll put it down below. But this is an amazing pullover. It is bottom up, and it is a dolman sleeve construction. So let me just show it to you. And how it was originally planned is that you get, I think, like, I don't know, like 15 or 20 colors, and it is supposed to be knit in stripes. And so what I did is I just used all of the minis from my advent calendar to knit this sweater. So it's bottom up. It's gonna have probably about, I don't know, I don't remember. I think it's like 10, like maybe 5 to 10 inches of positive ease at the waist, and then it will obviously be a lot more up top. So I just want to show off this amazing yarn. You can see my little progress keeper there, but it is absolutely gorgeous. And it was so fun to knit. I think that it's really awesome because it goes together so well. Ugh, I'm dying. So this is knit bottom up. It's a fingering weight sweater, like I said, made to be knit in stripes. And in the pattern, you're given many different ideas of what you can do for your stripes. And at first I was like, okay, I'm gonna like stick to a certain stripe sequence and kind of go from there. But what I decided to do was just do it completely randomly, and I really loved how it turned out. The front and the back, I think, are like sisters but not twins. I just think it is glorious. So this again will also be a little bit cropped, and it's pretty drop sleeve. So I think one thing that's amazing about it is once you get to the point where I am at right now, you just pick up the sleeves and knit for like 5 inches. Like the sleeves are really, really short, and then you bind off in the rib. So I just have to, I've already started this sleeve, and I have to do the next sleeve, and then it's just like, it's just going. I am so excited. I really want to wear this, and so this is something that I'm going to prioritize, hopefully finishing this week. So maybe next week when I post another video, you'll be able to see me wearing it. Really love it. Really have like adored knitting it. I think that for all of us or all of the people who have gotten a yarn calendar for Advent, this is literally the perfect thing to cast on. It's so fun. It's made for that. It's made to be kind of crazy and wacky. And I mean, the yarns were gorgeous. Yeah. So if you're looking for a pattern to knit with all of your minis, I would highly recommend this pattern. I think that it's absolutely beautiful. It's easy in stockinette. Like it's just a huge like swath of stockinette. And I think honestly, when you are doing so much with the colors of the yarn and it's all hand painted yarn, it's really important to have it be a kind of mellow sweater if that's what you want to do. So I love it. I'm so excited with how it's turning out. And I have it in my Nerd String bag. And this is one of my favorite bags. It's the Nerd String Makery. Here's their stamp. And it is kind of their craftivism bag, I think is what it was called. But it has just a lot of diversity rep in terms of race, ethnicity, disability, age, body shape. It's really, really amazing. So yeah, those are all the projects that I am currently working on. And I thought that I would talk about a couple of things that I'm really excited to cast on very shortly. The first, I'm just realizing that I don't remember the exact name of this sweater, but I will put a picture of the sweater up and the designer and the name of the sweater, but I just finished my swatch. So when I went home, I went and got some WZ felt and wool, which is yarn that is a worsted weight yarn that's milled and grown on sheep in Routt County, which is where I grew up. So yeah, you can see here, high mountain wool of Routt County. And for me, there's just, like I said, talking about the Peace Fleece, there's something beautiful about working with really rustic yarn. And this yarn is not only, you know, rustic and warm and woolen spun, but it's also from where I grew up and just has such a beautiful connection to home for me that I got 7 skeins of this. So I got a lot of this, and they are each 300 yards, so 4 ounces per skein. And it's just a really natural, really beautiful light gray that has some undertones of brown and darker gray and lighter gray. It's so gorgeous. And so what I want to do with this is I want to knit this into an heirloom piece. I want to do a very complicated cabled sweater out of this. And I'm going to do a really complicated cable cardigan. And I have knit the swatch. So here it is. I think this is absolutely beautiful. I haven't blocked this yet, so my plan right after this is to get this wet and block it and see what it does. Right now, I'm almost exactly on gauge. I think one thing that I don't love is that it's a little, I don't know if you can see that it's a little see-through, but I also think that this is such a warm sweater. This is such warm wool because, like I said, it's a more rustic wool, that I don't want to knit it at too tight of a gauge because then it will just be like roasting. It will be so warm. So I'm gonna block it and see what happens with the cable after that. There is a chance, this is on a US 8 that this is knit on, and there is a chance that I'll go down to a US 7, depending on what happens after I block it. And oftentimes I am not great about blocking, I'm just generally like not super good about swatching. Like I did make a swatch. This is amazing that I made a swatch, and normally my swatches are like an inch by an inch. And so this is like, I did the cable, and then I knit some moss or seed stitch. And so like, I actually like put some time into this. So yeah, this is gonna be such an heirloom piece that I want it to really look amazing. And so yeah, I'm just gonna block it, see what this does. But what I'll generally do is I won't re-knit the swatch with another needle. What I will instead do is see what happens when it blocks, and then if it's a little too big or a little too small, I'll usually just go up or down a needle size and like pray for the best. I do generally like measure things once I'm a little ways into the sweater, and this sweater is knit in pieces and sewn together, so it's actually a little bit easier because I can just knit like the front, and if I find that like that I'm way off and that it's going to be really small or really big, then I can just rip it out and it's not like that big of a waste. But yeah, I'm really excited. I think it's going to be really, really beautiful. So hopefully I'll be able to cast this on soon. I kind of want to get some of the other things off of my needles before I cast it on, but I also kind of want it because I just think it's going to be so amazing. So yeah, that is the swatch and something that I'm going to be moving towards here shortly, working on. And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I often like having one really complicated cabled sweater, because for me, cables, I can read my work and kind of know where the cables should go, but it's something that you have to really pay attention to. Where color work, I love because it just feels like one more row, one more row, one more row, and it's so easy and fast. And so I knit for one of my very dear friends, Sutton. I knit her the Nordiska sweater earlier this year, which is a cropped V-necked colorwork sweater by Caitlin Hunter that has these really beautiful cables on the raglans. And I got some beautiful yarn from Fiber for the People that I want to use to knit that sweater for myself. So for the main color of the sweater, I have Fiber for the People's 100% superwash New Zealand Pullover in the leather colorway, which is just this really beautiful, I mean, that's like a perfect color representation. You can see it, and it's a beautiful tonal. And then to go with it, I got her same base, so that's the 100% superwash New Zealand Pullover in the Harbor colorway. And this, I'll show a little bit more. This is a really beautiful colorway that is kind of a dark green, like sage green, that has purples and oranges and blues. I mean, the depth of color in this is just gorgeous. And I think that these will go really beautiful together. So this will be the main color in the top of the sweater, and then this will be the majority of the color work bit. And then it calls for some other contrast colors. And I think what I'm going to do is I saved a couple of my favorite skeins from my advent calendar, and I'm gonna put these in. So I don't remember the days of, I think this one is She Was Buried in This Dress, and I still kind of want a whole sweater's quantity in this. I mean, it's like the most beautiful mauve that has ever existed in the history of the world. Like, it is gorgeous. And then this one is kind of a light blue that has a little bit of like really dirty speckling, and just like it's dirty in the most delicious way. So anyway, this is the plan. Let's see if I can hold all of these. And I think that it will just make like the most beautiful Nordiska that ever existed in the history of the world. So yeah, those are my probably next cast on plans, and I'm really, really excited for that. I also am in the process of sewing a quilt for our bedroom, and we'll hopefully have a little bit more work on that as the time comes. I've been just sewing like a mad woman, so I'm trying to decide exactly what I want to do next with that, but yeah. So, get it? That is all of the crafty talk that I want to talk about right now. But the other thing that I wanted to talk about is what I am reading right now. So I am reading a few different books, and I really in December just got the inkling to read some fantasy. Like, I wanted to read some cold, dark, heart-wrenching fantasy, and I have accomplished that. So I am reading 3 books right now. The first one that I am reading is the 3rd book in the Poppy War trilogy, and that is The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. Oh my god! This is so good. Like, I do not even know where to begin. So, I don't want to give anything away because you won't know what's going on in this book unless you have read the previous books. So, what I'll discuss is The Poppy War. So The Poppy War is a grim, dark fantasy novel written by R.F. Kuang. And what she has done, so essentially it follows Rin, who is a war orphan who tests into a very elite school that is a military academy. And when she comes to the military academy, she realizes that she has the power to summon the gods. And she is what they call a shaman, and they can use the gods' power for their own will. And it has everything. I mean, it has like the magical school trope. It has so much war. And what I really love about it is the characters are really dynamic, and sometimes they make decisions that really piss you off, but it's so real. And she's not the chosen one. She didn't ask for this. She's not always making good decisions. She's not always making just decisions. She talks about, and it really talks about the implications of war, not only on the people who are soldiers and who are fighting, but also on the casualties and the civilians and the impact on the world. And oh my god, it's so good. I mean, everyone's talking about it, but like for good reason. It is incredible. I read the other 2 books in this series this year, and I'm just flying through this one. I only have like 200 pages left, and I actually had to like slow down because I was like reading it too fast and like getting really sad that it was ending. So yeah, The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, absolutely awesome. The next book that I am reading is Legenborn by Tracy Deonn, and is this good as well. So this one I'm about 300 pages in, so also have only about 200 pages left. No! So this is, I think it's the first in a series, but this is a fantasy following a young girl. So not young girl, a young woman / old girl. She is 16, and she is going to UNC Chapel Hill to participate in in a like early college program for students who are very gifted, and she goes there, and on her first night at UNC she sees a like magical battle, and it's something where other people can't see it, and other people they can use magic to like erase their memories, and other people that works on, but it doesn't work on her, and she can see things that she shouldn't be able to see. And it is about her kind of navigating this new world in the setting of also her mother has just died under somewhat mysterious circumstances, and she thinks that it might be connected to these people that she kind of stumbles upon, and they have a secret society. And I think that well, I know that it's definitely like loosely based off of the Knights of the Round Table and King Arthur lore, but what I love about it is written by a Black woman, and it just celebrates Blackness in a way that I absolutely love. And as a white reader, it is I'm continuing on this journey to try to learn more and more and to be less and less ignorant. And it's just opened my eyes to things that I have never experienced being a white cisgender woman. So absolutely phenomenal. Like, it has it all. It's like got some romance, some like lots of intrigue, like battles, magical beasts, and school, and oh, it's great. So highly recommend. I mean, everyone is talking about this book, but like for good reason. It's incredible. So that one. And then the last book I am reading is one that I am listening to, and I'm sorry, I think it's by Mandy Collins, but I'm not 100% sure, and I will put a picture of that up here. It is A Woman's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem, and it is amazing. I mean, I think like I just started it. I'm only about 9% into the book right now, but what it looks like is it's kind of a Victorian romance novel that has the twist of the women involved are kind of they are journalists who are trying to teach women about the bad things that are going on in their society. And one of the bad things that's happening is that there's a serial killer on the loose. And so at this point, women were kind of kept in the dark and not told about things that are going on. And so what they're trying to do is educate women and make them safer. And I haven't even gotten, I don't think, to like what love could be coming, but where I am right now, it's just really fun. And the intro or the dedication is really sweet. It was like for the author's aunt, and it said like, I don't remember her name, but it was like to Aunt Peggy, who's a murderino, even if she doesn't know what that means. But for those of us who do know what that means, murderino is someone who really enjoys, well, many different things, but it's specifically referencing my favorite murder podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And so when I heard that as a dedication, I like guffawed and like knew that I was going to absolutely love the book. So yeah, I think there's going to be some like crime fighting. I think there's going to be some love and romance, and like it's a period piece, which we all know that I absolutely adore. So yeah, I'm gonna actually, I think, listen to that and put away our Christmas tree and edit this and get it up. But I hope that everyone is having a really, really wonderful start to this new year. I know that it has been a really tough year. It has been something so challenging. We not just as a people, but as a world, collectively, the human race has gone through one of the most profound traumas that has happened ever. We've gone through something that most people have never experienced, and I just want to point that out and let you know that if you're having a hard time, that makes sense. This was awful. This was so, so hard. And anyone who has any underlying mental illness, anxiety, depression, all of that for all of us is getting harder, or was hard. It was really hard this year. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Things will get better. And just know that you are not alone. We are here for you. You just need to reach out. And I know that that can be really hard, but there's a lot of ways to do that. So yeah, things have been really rough. It's been a really rough year, but I got my first dose of the vaccine. It's coming to the general public soon enough. And this monster who's been in the White House for the past 4 years is fucking leaving this month. So that's fucking amazing. I cannot wait for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to just saunter up and take the oath on Inauguration Day. I mean, I am, thank God. I actually don't think that I would be so hopeful going into 2021 if we didn't have a new, like, I know for sure, like, this would just be, I would be terrified about what was gonna happen, but I do have hope, and things are changing, things are getting better. But it's also okay if you're having a hard time and if you're having a hard day, but just know that I have those days too, and all we can ask is that we do the best we can. So reach out to the people you love, send them your love, and when you can get a vaccine, please do so that our world can go back to some semblance of normalcy. All right, well, I'm gonna try my best going into 2021 to bring calm and reflection into my days. I hope that whatever intention you have going forward is something that you can really prioritize in the coming 12 months and hopefully set a pattern for the rest of your life. So yeah, I know that those types of things aren't for everyone, but I think for me, I don't like having a resolution because I think that implies that you need to change something about yourself. But I think for me, I more like having an intention more than a resolution. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Just as good. And you check off my Christmas list. Santa baby, I want a yacht, and really that's not a lot. Been an angel all year. Santa baby, throw her down the chimney tonight.
Are you hanging out?
Yes. Yes, because Santa's gotta come.
Santa
Get rid of
really
the
is one thing
one with
that
Santa
I
on it.
really do need. The deed to a platinum mine. Santa baby, so hurry down the chimney tonight. Santa cutie, fill my stocking with a duplex and check.
It's Christmas! Beautiful day!
Santa cutie,
So pretty out!
come and trim my Christmas tree with some decorations bought at Tiffany. I really do believe in you. Let's see if you believe in me. Santa baby, forgot to mention one little thing, a ring.